So this happens 15 years before a boy was born. So 15 years into the future, this boy is fighting with a sword, and he's known by his name, Kenpachi Zaraki. And everybody's looking at this boy and thinking, oh, he's weak. One sword fight later, they're dead on the ground, and he's laughing his ass off. So he's currently in the woods fighting with a lot of people, and he sees this little kid that is very small. And he's like, hey, get away, this is dangerous. And she just keeps crawling towards him and crawling towards him. And so this kid finally grabs his sword and starts messing with it. And she just grabs the air, and all of a sudden the sword pops out. And he goes, oh, so you must be kind of like me. And she starts giggling and playing with his sword and her sword. And he goes, fine, you can come with me. And he puts her on his shoulder. And she's blonde or platinum white hair with pink tips is just confusing to him, because even though his greenish black hair is not normal, he thinks that platinum white with pink tips is not normal either. So he's like, we're a bunch of freaks in everybody else's eyes, but we can get along. So it's now time for the UA entrance exams. Everybody gets in like normal. Bakugo has never known deku. And there's this name floating around, Kenpachi Zaraki, that everybody in the hero community fears and knows to stay away from: a tall, lanky man who has a sword and a little child on his shoulder with pink tipped hair. And all of a sudden Aizawa sees this man with a child on his shoulder, an eye patch, and pink tipped hair for the child. And he walks up to this man and says, I am here to challenge you to a fight. And this man looks at him and goes, do you have a sword? And Aizawa says, no, I do not. I would like to see if I could get one first, and then we can fight. But if I win, you must go to my class in UA, and if you win, you win. And he goes, okay. But we only fight to the death. And Aizawa hears this and goes, yeah, I'm sorry, but I don't kill. I'm a hero. And he goes, what is a hero but a person who doesn't know how to fight like a proper man? And he starts going on this tangent of how fights are to the death and nothing else. And Aizawa, a few days later, finds this man again and has a sword at his hip and says, I'm ready for our fight. 10 minutes later, Kenpachi's on the ground with a gash on him because Aizawa used the Ichigo strat of making him doubt himself and then taking advantage of it. And he fills him in, saying that all swords have a name, and if you know the name of your sword, you're more in tune with your sword. And so Kenpachi goes through that a little bit earlier than if he was in Bleach, because he's thousands of years old in Bleach. No, he's hundreds of years old. He's hundreds of years old in Bleach. So he starts going through this thing, and he gets to UA, and he sees this class, and he goes, can I train them? And Aizawa says, sure, it means less work for me. And Kenpachi goes, thank you. And he goes, okay, all you dumbasses, it's time to go train. And he throws them all gym uniforms and says, get outside now. And all these people see this tall, lanky man and go, sure, because they don't know what to do. And Aizawa is currently in a sleeping bag at the training field, just waiting for Kenpachi to arrive with the other students. Because Kenpachi is currently 20-ish. His little friend on his shoulder is currently like 4. And Aizawa, 30-something. All of his students, 15, 16, like Cannon. So they all get there, and they're like, what are we doing? And he goes, pick up a weight. And they all do, and they pick up just enough that they can barely carry it. And he goes, okay, good. Now run the entire school. And they go, what do you mean? And he goes, exactly what I said. Run the entire school. And they go, you must be crazy. And he goes, nope. Well, yes, but nope. Go. And they start running, and the only one who can finish it without collapsing is Ida because of his engines. And Kenpachi uses his sword, cuts off the ends of his engine, and says, now do it without those. And he goes, sir, yes, sir. And he's in pain because of the cut, hurt. Because he could still feel stuff of it in his engines. And he starts running without his engines, and he's so slow, and he could barely withstand it. And all of a sudden, his engines kick into overdrive, like reciprocal burst. But instead of reciprocal burst, it just starts going faster and faster. And everybody else sees this and is like, what the hell did he do to Ida? And Kenpachi, who's sitting there, be like, that speed kid finally surpassed his goddamn limits. And the little child on his shoulder is laughing and having fun, watching him torture these innocent children. Well, not innocent for Bakugo, but the rest of them are innocent. And he sees Bakugo arrive after Ida and says, come here. And Bakugo walks up and says, are you really our teacher? And he goes, you don't want to test me? And Bakugo goes, god damn adults. And he goes, I got a challenge for you. And he takes Bakugo's hands, wraps them up, so if he causes any explosion, it's gonna hurt with the weight. And he doubles the weight inside of the bandages and says, now run it again. And everybody else does the same. This time he tapes Uraraka's fingers one by one, so she can't use her quirk. So he makes her run it again. And after a whole day of this, everybody's passed out on the ground, tired. And he goes, my turn. So he picks up a 3-ton weight, puts it on his back, and runs at full speed. And he gets back there after 3 laps, and he drops the 3-ton weight and says, fun. And he goes home. And Aizawa goes, I like him. So it's the next day, and it's the heroes versus villains. There was no test, because Aizawa was like, I'm just going to let him train. He can increase their strength that way. So it's the heroes versus villains, and All Might goes, oh, I am here. And Kenpachi goes, yeah, you're here to die. And he swings at All Might, and All Might catches the blade, going, excuse me? And Kenpachi goes, damn friggin' overgrown man. He's starting to curse, and All Might goes, that's not very nice. And he goes, does it look like I give a crap? And he goes, honestly, no, but that's still not very nice. And Kenpachi feels this weakness in All Might and goes, you're injured, aren't you? And All Might goes, wait, he knows? And Kenpachi goes, hey little one on my shoulder. And she pops up on his shoulder, and All Might freaks out from this. And Kenpachi goes, you think you can heal him? And her still having the ability to rewind time from her spiritual pressure quirk, because she does have spiritual pressure, goes, maybe. And she starts rewinding his injury, and he's back in his prime. And Kenpachi feels this strength radiating from All Might, and says, think of a sword. And All Might goes, no. And he goes, do it. And he's starting to scare All Might with the bloodlust he's releasing, and he goes, fine. And he thinks of a sword, and all of a sudden these 2 gauntlets show up, and they're on All Might's hands, and he goes, what the hell is this? And he goes, I knew it. You have enough spiritual pressure to actually harness them. And All Might goes, what do you mean spiritual pressure? And Kenpachi goes, every quirk is made up of spiritual pressure, and I can't sense it, she can, but people who don't have spiritual pressure can't be affected by her quirk. And All Might goes, what do you mean, what's her quirk? And Kenpachi says her quirk is rewind. She uses her spiritual pressure to rewind injuries, or rewind someone's physical changes all the way back to 0%. It only works on quirk people because quirks came from spiritual pressure. And he goes on this brilliant tangent, and All Might asks, what is your quirk then? And he goes, I just woke up one day and I have the sword. He holds up the sword and he goes, this one. And he sticks it in the ground and it stays there, and he releases it and goes, yeah, it's about to disappear in 3, 2, 1, disappears. And he grabs the air and the sword reappears, and he goes, see? He sheaths it and goes, yeah, my sword's strange. And All Might hears this name constantly in his head, and he goes, so does your sword have a name? And he goes, yeah, I don't know it though. I don't need to know it to be powerful. And Aizawa wakes up and says, you do need to know it to be powerful, and if you don't know it, then you're not very powerful. And he goes, shut up, zombie. And Aizawa goes, you want me to beat you again? And he goes, damn zombie. Could kill him one time. And Kenpachi, who loves to fight, does not like fighting Aizawa, because Aizawa uses his quirk to cancel out someone's spiritual pressure. Duh. So it's now time for the heroes versus villains, and All Might says you can't be heroes without your costume. Kenpachi, who's currently in his captain's outfit, says, this is my costume. And All Might goes, some ragged old robes, and he's showing his mean might side, and he goes, damn right, they're ragged old robes. I've used these since I found her. And she's currently on the ground playing with her sword and stabbing it into the ground like a little 2-year-old would to a knife in a piece of warm butter. Hot knife through cold butter. Duh. What kid doesn't? Just me? Oh. Forget what I just said. So, she's just stabbing the ground like a psychopath, and Kenpachi looks at her and picks her up and puts her on his shoulder and says, oh, let's go out there. And everybody goes out there, and he says, okay, before anybody starts fighting, me and All Might, right here, right now. And he unsheathes his sword and says, I want to fight. And All Might goes, no, I'm not fighting. He goes, damn weakling. And All Might hears this and goes, what you say? And he goes, damn weakling. You know you're weaker than me. That's why you don't want to fight. And All Might gets pissed off at this and says, I'm not a damn weakling. If you want to go, I'm going to go right here, right now. And he goes, definitely. And he starts releasing his spiritual pressure, and it sends like a beam up into the sky. And All Might starts releasing his unknowingly. And he just has a cloud around him that radiates power more than Kenpachi's. It's like, cool. You get the first hit. And All Might sees this and goes, but why? And he goes, if you can't cut me, you can't win. And Aizawa says, it's easy to cut him. He takes his sword, and Kenpachi slightly flinches, and he goes, watch. And he slices Kenpachi down the center of the chest, like Ichigo did. And Kenpachi gets a slight cut down his chest and says, God damn it. You're so weak with your spiritual pressure, but it's so refined. Mine's just blunt and big. So he slashes the building in half and goes, see? And Aizawa goes, yeah. And Aizawa's sword disappears, and everybody's like, wait, what? And Kenpachi says, I'm going to teach you all how to properly use spiritual pressure, and maybe your costumes will come from your spiritual pressure. And they all go, wait, it's going to be cool? And he goes, no, it's going to look like robes like mine. And he flicks his robes, being like, hey, I got robes. I'm sorry. It's just funny. Hey, I got robes. It's just funny to me. I don't know why. So All Might throws a punch and he slams Kenpachi in the face, and the dust finally starts clearing after the big boom that everybody heard, and he's fine. The glove didn't go past his chin. It landed at his chin and stopped. And he grins and he goes, "Damn, you must be weak then." And he slices All Might across the chest, and All Might gets the giant gash across his chest and says, "Damn, that hurts." But Kenpachi goes, "Weakling," and he walks off, and he goes to the observation room and he says, "Free for all, go now." And everybody starts going like, "Wait, what? And he goes, "The person who is eliminated first gets extra training from me, but the person who gets eliminated last gets to train with my little friend here." And she goes, "Hi," on the microphone, and it was like, ooh, maybe she's a lot easier. And so they start trying to fight each other, and Bakugo wins, and the little girl walks up to him and says, "Did you win?" And he goes, "Definitely." And she goes, "Okay." So she picks up a ball that seems light, and Bakugo is about to grab it, and she goes, "Be careful, this is pretty heavy." And he goes, "Can't be that heavy." He grabs it, picks it up, and then his hand immediately drops to the ground. And he's like, "Oh my god, this is heavy." And the person who failed first was Kirishima, and Kirishima walks into the observation room and says, "Sensei, I was the first one out." And he goes, "I know, I saw." "Damn, you're freaking tough with your hardening quirk, though." And he goes, "Oh, thank you." And he goes, "Can I beat you up sometimes?" And he goes, "Physically, yes. With a sword, no." And he goes, "Oh, definitely physically." And he goes, "Sure." And he goes, "Your quirk is best trained, or your spiritual pressure is best trained by taking damage." And he goes, "What do you mean taking damage?" And he takes out his sword and says, "Cut yourself." And Kirishima's like, "I'm not a masochist. I'm sorry, I'm not." And he goes, "Not that way, duh." So we skip a month to the USJ, and everybody's gained massive power increases. Kirishima has Zangetsu, because I think Kirishima should have gotten Zangetsu. No, I gave him Senbon Sakura. Senbon Sakura. I gave him Senbon Sakura. Todoroki had Ryuku. Not Ryuku. The first Soul Reaper that Ichigo met. I forget her name. He had hers, and Bakugo had Renji's, Zabimaru, and that's all I'm gonna say for the rest of them. Toga's in this class, not Hagakure, and she has the stinging one from the Spy Division captain. So they get to the USJ, and they get off the bus. I'm only going to do 2 because I'm getting hungry and I need to get some water. It's freaking hot at my place. So we go to the USJ, and they're getting off the bus, and Kenpachi is like, "There's going to be a fight," and Kirishima's like, really? I get to finally test out Senpo and Sakura? And he goes, your 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 sword matches your soul's personality. You have flower petals for yours. And he starts laughing, and Mina goes, I think it's kind of cute. And Kirishima starts to blush a little, and he looks at Todoroki and says, you have a sword with a thingy on it. And he looks at Bakugo and goes, yours is cool, but you're too angry and annoying to be actually any worth in a fight. And Bakugo starts barking like the angry Pomeranian he is, and Kenpachi goes, bark, bark, bark. That's all you do is bark. And the bald dude from Bleach is in there too. The bald dude from Bleach. Yeah. He replaced the tail dude. I'm sorry. I like the tail dude as much as the next guy, but he replaced the tail dude. So it's now time for the USJ, but once they walk in, the bald dude gets this feeling on his scalp, and Kirishima's sword starts vibrating, and Bakugo's sword falls to the ground like the released version of Zabimaru, or the uh, roar from Zabimaru, and um, Todoroki's blade starts to chill, and Kenpachi's just like, I'm here! I'm here for the fight! And the bald dude pulls out his Sanpakto and releases it, and he has the staff and goes, oh my god, it's not going to be as fun though. And flashback to a week ago when the bald dude was basically put in this class, and he says, I want to fight! And Kenpachi looks at him and he goes, they're not very strong. He goes, I don't care, I want to fight! So they go out. Kenpachi utterly obliterates him, and he survives and says, Kenpachi goes, you have potential, so I'm not going to kill you this time. And he gives this just absolute shit eating grin. You're like, you get stronger, fight me again, and maybe. So they all have, pretty much all the important people have swords. And Kenpachi at this timeline does not have a hero license or a hero permit. So Kenpachi is just a civilian at this moment, and Shigaraki walks through the portal with Kurogiri, and everybody else starts coming through, including the Nomu. And Shigaraki, who has a sword at his side, he's a hollow. He has the same Sanpakdo as Grimjaw. Excuse me. But he's not even close to being as strong as Kenpachi, by the way. So they start fighting, and Kenpachi sees the Zanpakuto on Shigaraki's waist and says, I want to fight. And Shigaraki goes, no need, Nomu, kill him. And Kenpachi just goes, I don't want to fight you, and cuts the Nomu in half, and then looks at him and goes, I want to fight you. And the Nomu falls in two pieces and is just there. And Shigaraki goes, Kurogiri, you need to get out of here now. So they retreat fairly quickly, and Ida didn't need to leave. The the sword with a hook on it. I forget the name of it. But that guy is the same guy that Ida is going to be taking after. So it's the USJ goes on like normal, and everybody is just going along like normal because they left pretty quickly, and all the villains are scared of Kenpachi, so they just gave up, saying, "We don't want to fight. We'll just give up." And he goes, "Damn weaklings." So I'm gonna sign off now because I'm getting tired and hungry and thirsty. So hopefully you guys enjoy, and see you guys next time. Bye.